My name is Olivia Marshall, and I'm going to tell you about the night my entire family discovered that my parents had stolen my inheritance and bought themselves a luxury house with money that was never theirs. The night my uncle's innocent question at my sister's engagement party exposed a fraud that had been hidden for 5 years. The night I learned that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones robbing you blind. Let me start at the beginning, because you need to understand how we got here. I'm 31 years old now, working as a physical therapist in Seattle. I make decent money, around $75,000 a year. I rent a small apartment, drive a 10-year-old Honda, and live pretty modestly. My younger sister Emma is 28, works in fashion retail, and just got engaged to her boyfriend of 3 years. Our family has always been close, or at least I thought we were. Sunday dinners at my parents' house, holiday gatherings, the whole traditional family thing. My parents, Linda and Robert Marshall, both worked in middle management, Mom in healthcare administration, Dad in logistics. They weren't wealthy, but they were comfortable, or so I believed. The story really begins 7 years ago when my grandfather died. My mother's father, Thomas Whitmore, was a careful man who'd spent his entire life saving. He owned a small construction business that he sold when he retired, invested the proceeds wisely, and lived frugally in the same modest house he'd owned for 40 years. When Grandpa Thomas passed away, I was 24 and just finishing my graduate program in physical therapy. He left a will that was very specific. His estate was to be divided equally among his 3 grandchildren, me, my sister Emma, and our cousin Nathan. Each of us was to receive $500,000. Additionally, there was a specific bequest. His house in Bellingham, worth about $700,000 at the time, was to be sold, and the proceeds split between his 2 daughters, my mother Linda and my Aunt Patricia. The executor of the estate was my mother. Grandpa had trusted her completely, believed she'd handle everything fairly and properly. The will was clear, witnessed, and legally sound. Each grandchild gets $500,000, the house gets sold and split between the daughters. Simple. Except that's not what happened. About 6 months after Grandpa died, my mother called me. She sounded stressed, tired. "Olivia, honey, we need to talk about the estate." "Okay, is everything all right?" "It's complicated. The estate taxes are much higher than we anticipated, and there are some debts your grandfather had that we didn't know about. The lawyer fees are substantial. After everything is settled, there's just not going to be as much money as we thought." I felt disappointed but not suspicious. I didn't know anything about estate law or taxes. "How much are we talking about?" "Instead of $500,000, you'll probably get around $250,000. "I'm so sorry, sweetie. I know you were counting on more." $250,000 was still life-changing money for a 24-year-old with student loans. "It's okay, Mom. I understand. These things happen. You're being so mature about this. Emma's going to be upset, I know. And Nathan, well, Patricia will handle telling him." The money came through about 8 months later, exactly $250,000 deposited into my account. I used it to pay off my student loans, put a down payment on a reliable used car, and invested the rest conservatively. It felt like a blessing, a head start that most people my age didn't get. Emma got her money around the same time. She was less responsible with it, spent a chunk on a luxury vacation, bought designer clothes, went through it faster than she should have. But that was Emma, and it was her money to do with as she pleased. I didn't think much about the estate after that. Life moved on. I started my career, moved to Seattle for a better job opportunity, built my life. My parents seemed fine, continued working, nothing seemed unusual. Then, about 2 years after Grandpa died, my parents bought a new house. It was in an upscale neighborhood in Tacoma, one of those areas with big lots and water views. The house itself was gorgeous. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, chef kitchen, finished basement, landscaped yard. I visited for the housewarming party and was blown away. "Mom, this place is incredible. How did you guys afford this?" She smiled, looking pleased. "Well, your father got a big promotion last year that came with a substantial raise, and we've been saving for years. Plus, we sold our old house and made a good profit. We finally decided to treat ourselves." It made sense. They'd lived in their previous house for 20 years. The market had been good. Dad's promotion was real. I'd heard about it. I was happy for them. They'd worked hard their whole lives. They deserved a nice house. The house was appraised at about $1.5 million. They seemed to have put down a substantial down payment because their mortgage payments, from what Mom mentioned casually, seemed very manageable. I assumed they'd saved well, been smart with their money. 5 years went by. I visited regularly, had holidays there, brought boyfriends to meet the family in that beautiful house. It became the center of our family gatherings, the place where we all came together. Then came Emma's engagement party, 3 weeks ago. Her fiancé Derek proposed in some elaborate public way that Emma loved, and my parents immediately offered to host an engagement party at their house. Big backyard, plenty of space, perfect for a celebration. The party was lovely, about 50 people, family, friends, Emma's coworkers, Derek's family, catered food, open bar, string lights in the backyard. Mom and Dad played the perfect hosts, toasting the happy couple, welcoming Derek's family, being gracious and warm. My Uncle James was there, Dad's younger brother, who I've always liked. He's a real estate agent, has been for 30 years, knows the local market inside and out. He lives on the other side of the state, so we don't see him often, but he made the trip for Emma's engagement. I was standing with Uncle James, both of us holding drinks, watching Emma and Derek dance to music from the speaker system Dad had set up. "Your parents have really done well for themselves," Uncle James said, gesturing at the house. "This place must be worth, what, 1.5? Maybe more now with how the market's gone?" "Around that, I think. They bought it about 5 years ago." "Smart investment. Though I've got to say, I was surprised when they bought it. I didn't realize Robert's promotion was that substantial. I think they'd been saving for a long time, too." Uncle James nodded slowly, but there was something odd in his expression. "And they must have gotten a good inheritance from your grandfather. That probably helped with the down payment." I felt a little uncomfortable. It seemed tacky to talk about inheritance at a party. "I don't think so. Grandpa's estate went to us grandkids mostly. Mom got her share of the house sale, but that was split with Aunt Patricia." Uncle James's expression changed. He looked confused. "Wait, what? Your mom told us that your grandfather's estate was mostly tied up in the house, that after taxes and debts, the grandkids each got around $50,000, and she and Patricia split the bulk of the estate, including the house proceeds." I froze. "No, that's not. We each got $250,000. The house was separate, split between Mom and Aunt Patricia." "Olivia, that's not what your mother told the family. She said the estate was complicated, that most of the liquid assets had to go to covering debts and taxes, and that you kids each got a small amount. She said she and Patricia inherited the house and sold it, and that's where they got their money." My drink suddenly felt very heavy in my hand. "Uncle James, I was told the estate had unexpected debts and taxes, that instead of $500,000, I'd get $250,000. Mom said it was disappointing but unavoidable." Uncle James's face went pale. "The will specified $500,000 each for 3 grandchildren. That's $1.5 million total. Plus the house at $700,000, that's $2.2 million in total assets. And Mom said there were substantial debts and taxes. Your grandfather had no debts. I knew him well, Olivia. Thomas was meticulous. He owned his house outright. His business was sold and settled years before he died. He had no outstanding loans. And estate taxes, even at their highest, wouldn't have eaten up more than 20% of an estate that size." I did the math in my head, trying to make it make sense. So if there were minimal debts and reasonable taxes, where did the rest of the money go? Uncle James looked towards the house, that beautiful $1 million house, and his expression said everything. "No," I said. "No, that's not possible. Mom wouldn't—" "Where did your parents get the money for this house, Olivia? Dad's promotion? Their savings? The profit from selling their old house? Their old house sold for $320,000. I know because I helped them list it. And Robert's promotion came with a raise, yes, but not enough to afford a house like this. To buy this place, they would have needed at least $300,000 to $400,000 for a down payment, probably more." The world tilted.
You think they stole our inheritance? I think you need to ask them some very direct questions. I looked across the yard to where my parents were standing, chatting with Derek's parents, smiling and laughing. My mother, who'd been the executor of Grandpa's estate. My mother, who I'd trusted completely. I walked over, Uncle James following. My hands were shaking. "Mom, Dad, can I talk to you for a minute, inside?" They must have seen something in my face because they immediately looked concerned. We went into the house, into Dad's study, and I closed the door. Uncle James stood by the door, arms crossed. "Olivia, what's wrong?" Mom asked.
I need you to tell me about Grandpa's estate, the truth this time. Mom's face changed, just slightly, but I saw it, a flicker of fear. We already discussed this years ago. You told me there were unexpected debts and taxes. You told me that's why I only got $250,000 instead of $500. But Uncle James just told me Grandpa had no debts and that estate taxes wouldn't have been nearly enough to account for the missing money. James doesn't know what he's talking about, Dad started. I'm a real estate agent and I've handled estate sales, Uncle James interrupted. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Thomas's estate was worth over $2 million. The 3 grandkids should have gotten $500,000 each. That's $1.5 million. Where's the other $750,000, Linda? The silence was deafening. And the house, I continued, my voice shaking. Grandpa's house in Bellingham. It was supposed to be sold and split between you and Aunt Patricia. Did you split it? More silence. Oh my God, you kept it all, didn't you? You kept the house money and the estate money. You stole from your own children. We didn't steal anything. Mom's voice was sharp now, defensive. I was the executor. I had the legal authority to distribute the estate according to the will, not to keep it for yourself. We needed it. You don't understand. We were in debt. We had credit cards maxed out. Your father's job was unstable. So you stole from us? From Emma? From Nathan? We gave you money. You each got $250,000, which was half of what Grandpa wanted us to have. He specifically left us $500,000 each, and you took the rest. You took it and bought this house and let us think everything was fine. Dad finally spoke, his voice quiet. We were going to pay you back once we were more stable financially. It's been 7 years. 7 years of you living in this house, hosting parties, going on vacations, while Emma and I thought we'd gotten everything we were owed. Does Emma even know? No, Mom whispered. Does Patricia know you kept the whole house sale? She got her share of the house, Mom said quickly. I did split that. The house sold for $700,000. She got $350,000. So just the grandchildren's inheritance then. You only stole from us. My laugh came out bitter. Well, that's something. Olivia, please try to understand. Understand what? That you committed fraud? That you violated Grandpa's will? That you betrayed your own daughters and nephew? Uncle James stepped forward. Linda, Robert, you do realize this is a crime, right? As executor, Linda, you had a fiduciary duty to distribute the assets according to the will. What you did is a state fraud. Emma and Olivia could press charges. Nathan could too. We're family, Mom said, tears in her eyes now. We wouldn't go to the police against each other. You're right, I said, coldly. We're family, which is exactly why you never should have done this in the first place. I left the study, went out to the backyard where the party was still going on, found Emma, pulled her aside. We need to talk, now. I told her everything, watched her face go from confusion to disbelief to rage. She started crying, mascara running down her face. Derek came over, concerned, and Emma told him too. His expression hardened. Then I found Nathan, my cousin, told him. He stood there in shock, processing, then pulled out his phone. I'm calling my mom. Within 20 minutes, the party had imploded. Aunt Patricia arrived, furious, demanding answers. Other family members started asking what was going on.
Emma confronted our parents in front of everyone, crying and yelling about how they'd stolen from us. Mom tried to explain, tried to justify, but there was no justification. They'd taken money that wasn't theirs, money specifically left to their children and nephew, money they'd used to buy a house and live a lifestyle they couldn't actually afford. The party ended early. Guests left confused and uncomfortable. Derek's family looked mortified. Emma locked herself in one of the bedrooms, sobbing. I left without saying goodbye to my parents. The next week, I hired a lawyer, a good one, who specialized in estate law. I brought her copies of everything: Grandpa's will, the estate documents, the distribution records I requested from the court, bank statements showing my deposit of $250,000. This is textbook estate fraud, she said. Your mother, as executor, had a legal obligation to distribute assets according to the will. She didn't. She kept a significant portion for herself and your father. The fact that she lied to you about why the amount was less makes it worse. What are my options? You can file a civil suit for the missing inheritance plus interest. You can also report this to the state bar if she used an attorney who was complicit, and to the probate court for executor misconduct. If you want to go further, this could potentially be criminal fraud. I don't want to send my parents to prison. I just want what's rightfully mine. Then we file civil suit, demand the full missing inheritance amount as specified in the will, plus 7 years of interest calculated at the legal rate, plus your legal fees. The total came to over $1 million. They didn't have it. They'd spent it. The court ordered them to sell the house. That beautiful house they'd bought with our money, hosted parties in, treated as their dream home. It had to be sold to pay us back. They had 6 months to sell it and distribute the proceeds. My mother called me, sobbing. Olivia, please, this house is our home. We'll be homeless. Can't we work out a payment plan? You had 7 years to work out a payment plan. You chose not to. We're your parents. How can you do this to us? How could you do what you did to us? I trusted you completely, and you stole from me. They sold the house for $1.4 million. After paying off their mortgage and the legal judgments, they walked away with almost nothing. They moved into a small rental apartment, the kind of place I'd been living in while they enjoyed their mansion bought with my inheritance. The money I received, $250,000 plus interest, came to about $320,000, changed my life. Again, but differently this time. I bought my own house, not a mansion, just a nice 3-bedroom place with a yard. It's mine, fully mine, and I know exactly where every dollar of the down payment came from my grandfather, who wanted me to have security and opportunity. Emma used her money to start her own business, a boutique she'd been dreaming about. Nathan invested his and went back to school for his master's degree. My parents tried to rebuild their relationship with us, sent apology letters, asked for family counseling, begged for forgiveness. Emma won't speak to them at all. Nathan's family cut them off completely. I've had a few conversations with them, mostly because they're still my parents and some part of me still loves them despite everything. But trust? That's gone. Completely gone. My mother keeps saying they made a mistake, that they were desperate, that they always planned to make it right. But 7 years of lies isn't a mistake. 7 years of looking me in the eye on Sunday dinners in a house bought with my stolen inheritance isn't desperation, it's calculated fraud. Uncle James feels guilty about exposing it, even though I've told him repeatedly that I'm grateful. I didn't mean to blow up your family, he said. You didn't blow it up. They did. You just asked an innocent question that revealed the truth. Emma's engagement party was supposed to be a celebration of her future. Instead, it became the night our family fell apart. She and Derek are still engaged, still planning their wedding, but Mom and Dad aren't invited. Emma says she can't have them there, can't pretend everything's fine, can't celebrate with people who stole from her. I understand. Some days I think I should forgive them, try to move forward. Then I remember how they stood in that house they bought with my inheritance and lied to my face, and I can't. My name is Olivia Marshall. I'm 31 years old.
I own my own home, bought with the inheritance my grandfather intended for me to have. My parents are strangers I occasionally text with, people I once trusted who proved they valued money more than integrity. And that house, the one they bought with our inheritance, someone else lives there now. I drove by it once, just to see. There were kids playing in the yard, a family enjoying it honestly. It should feel like justice. Mostly, it just feels sad. But at least now I know the truth and I have what's rightfully mine. Sometimes that has to be enough.